Hello, good morning to everybody. How's everybody doing? I'm so glad to see you here this morning. Now, the last 2 or 3 videos, we've been doing reading just strictly from these books, which is great. Honestly, if I could only have one book, it would be this one. If I could only have 2 books, I don't know what the second one would be, but this is a great pair of 2 books to have. That might even be the second book, but last night, and I like to kind of switch up the books, put new ones in. That way you guys can get an idea of what you can find in different books. But today in particular, there are 4 books that I've got on the table. I have these 2 because when we do these herbal Q&As, and we've been doing these every single day for the last, I think, like 4 or 5 days, right? Just you ask a question, we look up the herb. If we can't find it in these 2 books, we learn the extent of how much these 2 books can do for us, okay? But last night I was working on it. It's taking me through the week to work on this full moon twin flame working. And I'm happy about that. I don't want to rush it. I want to put lots of research into it, do it little by little. But last night I dug out this book of Scott Cunningham's, which we talked about last week, because I forgot that in this book it pairs up gods and goddesses with different stones. So that was something I wanted to tell you. I was able to find some things in there about gods and goddesses that were attached to different stones. Now, I didn't find one particularly on Persephone, and that was the person, well, the goddess that is in the working. But I did find, we're also including Italian witchcraft, and we're trying to do this twin flame working to call in her Italian strega witchcraft lineage. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And I did find one thing in this book here about Italian witchcraft ancestrally, and I wanted to read this bit to you guys because it was just amazing. And it's in the section of coral. The other book we'll be reading from in Q&A today is this book, Magical Herbalism by Scott Cunningham. And so we've got these 4 books on the table today. But let me read this bit to you about coral in reference to Italian ancestry and witchcraft. Coral comes from 2 Greek words, meaning daughter of the sea. Italian women, now, it doesn't say Italian witches, it says Italian women. So this is some Italian folklore, all right, or some old wives' tales of Italy. Italian women used to wear coral near their groin to regulate the menstrual flow. My guess is how would they keep it near their groin to regulate menstrual flow? Perhaps they put it on a what do those people have when they get married? A garter belt. Perhaps they fashioned some sort of garter belt, kept it up high, or perhaps they put it in their actual menstrual garter belt, because back then, in days of old, we know that there was many different ways that they used it. It wasn't just a pad or a tampon back then. It was like a harness and a bunch of stuff. So perhaps they tucked it in a portion of their underwear if their underwear went a bit lower. But I'm going to keep reading this to you, but I wanted to get an idea, and how do you guys think they kept the coral near their groin to regulate this? But when I did my 3 menstrual blood videos, and it took me like 5 months to get the courage on my channel to do that, but I quickly got the courage once I gained friends and family members to the channel, okay? But it took me a long time to want to start talking about menstruation in witchcraft, because I didn't want to just be that witch who always talks about period blood, okay? But I should have added this to the video, and I'm going to, gosh, maybe one day I will do a 4th video on menstrual blood and magic and add this, but it's just such cool information to me. Okay, Italian used to wear the coral near their groin to regulate the menstrual flow, recognizing the link between coral and the sea, the moon, and their cycles. So 4 things. coral to see the moon and their menstrual flow. They recognized coral as the link between those things. The coral, usually red, was believed to grow pale during the flow. So when the woman was flowing, the color would leave the coral. You know, it would grow more pale. And then, of course, when the woman then grow brighter afterwards, after her flow is over. So this stone or gem or precious thing or whatever, or rock, I don't know what to call coral. It's really just a living organism more, isn't it? That is hard like a rock. Is so attuned to the woman that it actually, when placed near the groin, will shade in and out of colors. And this is that Italian folklore, those Italian wives' tales from the days of old. Coral used for these purposes was carefully hidden from the eyes of men, for if ever seen by a man, it lost all its magical power. So I don't know if they would have to get a whole new piece of coral, or if that would never work again. Like if coral would never work for them again in that way, no matter what piece it was. Hey, B, how are you? Hi, everybody who's here. Let's say hi to everybody. Hi, Ozark Oracle, Ikale. Huntress of the Unknown, hi, welcome. From the Dark Pool is here. Michelle Knoll is here. Anissa Emily is here. Sherry Bug D. Willow Witch, Mario, the Wild Witch, Anissa Emily. Sha-na-na-na-na! She was the first one here. Well, it's so good to see you guys. And, Shauna says, all right, well, it was good to see you for a minute. Yes, happy Monday. All right, I'm making sure nobody has a question yet, but that was just such cool, interesting information. Ozark Oracle says, Jen, your series on menstruation was really good and very thought-provoking. Thank you. Thank you. I actually rewatch it. I've probably seen it 10 times myself, because it's just like looking back into your Book of Shadows. I don't have a super proper Book of Shadows because I'm either doing my witchcraft or I'm doing my videos all the time, or my family stuff. And so I don't really... Lunaya is making me a Book of Shadows, and I'm really going to start writing things down, because I think that every witch should write things down, right? Like, this whole technical stuff could just fall away, and then what do I have? My books and my memories. Well, that's all I really need, but it is nice to have all this work be seen. Hey, Roadhog Kennel, nice to see you. Welcome. So the 3 books that we are doing a Q&A out of today are Crystal Gem and Metal Magic, Magical Herbalism by Scott Cunningham, which is a great book, and it has a whole section in this book, like the whole of this book. You know how the whole of this book is like, we guess the gender, the element, and the planet, right? And then it gives us like little bits on each thing. Well, I believe there's 300 or 400 different herbs or foods, or, you know, herbs or plants in this book. But in here there's only 133, I believe. And it's shorter bits and there's no pictures. But it's different information. It's the same author, but it's different information. So I do believe this book came after this book. This one came first, this one came second. So it's like he had more to put into this book, but didn't want to do a new revision. To what I understand, this green book's never been revised. It was written once. And then he did just like smaller books afterwards. And if I did books, that's what I would do too, you know. Except for this one. It's the same exact book as Food and Magic, but it has more to it in this one. But Food and Magic is the exact same book. Don't make that mistake like I did. But I'm happy to have my old vintage copy and this new one. It's just another cool thing. Hey, Lucy Small, how are you? Praying for me? Well, thank you. Everybody could use good energy their way. Purple Sky Witchcraft, how are you? Nice to see you. So I think that it's really cool that coral can also attune your body to the moon cycle. And that's one thing that I talk heavily about in at least one of those 30-minute videos on using, you know... Oh, okay, here we go. Let me take care of this a minute, you guys. Just a moment. Yeah, it's a shame that some people are just, they don't understand things, but that's okay. Okay, so I think I've taken care of the problem. Just give me a minute for my heart to stop beating so fast. That just really bothers me. But that's okay. I knew from the first comment that's probably where it was going, and I usually remember people's icons with their names, you know. And, you know, if you just come out and say, I'll pray for you, it usually is the same thing. Anyway, just give me a minute to stop shaking. God, what is wrong with people? Hey, Erica, good morning. So let's just caveat that by saying, does anybody have anything that I can look up for them out of my books? Do you have any herbal questions? Or we've also got the book out of gems and crystals and metals, which sometimes you can find correspondence to. Which, you know, if I would have known that a long time ago. And if you guys, if that problem comes back, just put the word problem in big caps, or problem 3 times in big caps. Let's not use the T word, just because they don't deserve even that much from me. But we, or, you know, under the bridge lurker. Oh, awesome. Well, you guys, I may have to try and come on later, but that's okay. Hey, I found the add moderator button. Purple Sky Witchcraft is now a moderator for my channel. Hey, let me add some moderators right now. Yes! At the right time. I'm so glad that that Under the Bridge lurker came on. I Kill Sunflower is a moderator. Willow Witch is a moderator. This is what we're doing right here. This is why we're meant to be on. Uncle Badger is a moderator. Please, you guys, if you're willing to be a moderator, please say so now. As you guys know, I could use all the help I can have. Freshwater Fairies, thank you. Okay, great. Wild Witch, thank you. So that, get rid of that one. Sorry, you guys. I really honestly don't like to do that. I'm just... Heather Foley, will you be a mod for me, hon? I added ya. Okay, well, at least now we've got 5 or 6 mods in the room, so, whew! You guys, if there's any questionable stuff, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. And I know you guys are kind. I don't give people second chances. So if they say something weird once, like I'll pray for you or witchcraft is evil, or calling me sexy or something like that, they get one chance to say something wrong and then just hide them from the channel, put them in a timeout. There's no second chances. Okay. Whew, thank goodness. I'm so glad that that's taken care of now. Okay. So I'm going to get to questions now. Thanks. No second chances. And right now there's a person that's just coming on with new names and things. So, all right. What herb should we pick? Or we can certainly pick something from Crystal Gem and Metal Magic, because I have that out today too. Alongside of this book today, because Scott Cunningham didn't put a ton of stones in here, alongside of this, I do have this for if we need emergency help. But the 4 main books, like I say, is this is the 3 and then 4th. Okay. I know, I'm just trying to help people. Honestly, I come on for 2 to 3 hours a day just to fucking read books and answer questions and give advice and help people, light candles for people that are sick and dying. Like, honestly, if you would pick on someone like that, what is your deal? You might want to rethink your time. Can you look up stress? Yeah, you know what, IKL? Let's look up stress in this book, in the Crystal Gem and Metal Magic, and just see what we get for the word stress, like, or in the index for stress. I'm almost done shaking. Like, it's just still in my jitters. Yep. Just bless them and ever. I do! I have that passion spell for the Under the Bridge lurkers, which I still have going on in that jar and I look at every day. I'm sending those people passion because I know they need it. That's the bummer. It's just like, listen to us. Just be our friend. Be kind to us and you're going to have this beautiful family to hang out with. Phew. So stress. Yeah, it was a good idea, B. Elemental PQRS. Stress. TUVST. Stress reducing is what it says. And it also says see peace. So let me just say something about that. Scott Cunningham his words a little bit different than everyone else. So like in this book, you're not going to find cleansing herbs, but you'll find herbs for purification. So he sometimes uses a little different wordage than we're used to today in 2019. Remember, mods, no second chances. Just only, yeah. All right. So why did I bring that up? Well, because he says in here that he doesn't use the word stress a lot, and it's peace. So we can look up both stress and peace, and under stress again it says stress reducing. So I feel like that would be good for all of us anytime. And I have that big shelf of random stones, so I feel like we're going to be able to find at least something I've got to do stress reducing stuff. So in this book, on page 67, 107, and 183 is where stress reducing things come up. So let me get my little pen and a little piece of paper, which I don't know why I don't already have that ready. It's like every day I forget. Every day I forget. I'm really addicted to Sharpies. They just make me happy. And I love having 20 different colors of fine point, ultra fine point Sharpies to choose from. It's my favorite. So then also Post-it. Post-its are good. Since I'm trying to get rid of all these old office supplies I've had for years and years, and I just don't throw them away. Okay, so what did we say? Page. So stress reducing comes up on 67, 107, 83. 183. I was like, why did he not put them in order? Okay, got it. And then it says also see peace. So I'll put that in parentheses, and perhaps we'll look into that one as well. Hi, Kale. Thanks for asking that. Obviously, I needed a little bit. I know. I need a little stress reducer. Let's get Effie in the picture. Okay, there we go. So on page 67, what do we find? Do you guys know any stress-reducing stones? If you know stress-reducing stones, please take the time to say it now, or if there's something that works for you. Ooh, I think I might have this. So page 67, it's in the middle of talking about agate. Okay. So let me find where it's going to talk about stress. Agate was involved in ceremonial magic. Agates were engraved with serpents or men riding on snakes. You know how I feel about snakes. So agate is a stress-reducing stone. I'm just trying to find where it's going to talk about maybe a little bit of why it is, but I'm not finding that right off. So we can note agate down. Oh, I think I found it. So there's a bunch of...
Where my camera thing is.
Your selfie stick? Yeah, I think it's in the, just a moment. I think it's in the backpack. In the backpack, but I don't know where the backpack is. Oh, right up there on top of the car. I think the selfie stick's there. It's not near my phone. cleaned out in here, so I really don't know. I hope you find it. I hope you find it, my love. So there's a bunch of different types of agate, and I suppose I should show you the type that I've got. I love it. Where are you, agate? Like, the ones that I've got are bookends, and you know, there's a funny story. Hey, look, there I am in the agate. There's a funny story behind these bookends, because I'll say this, and agate a lot of the time comes in like a big geode. It just looks like a big old boulder, and you crack open into it, and you just have ultimate beauty in here. So hello to everybody, and we have some mods in the channel. I finally figure out the moderator button. So remember, mods, thank you, and no second chances for the Under the Bridge lurkers. So the story behind this agate bookend, there's two of them. I just can't reach the other one down there. I have it at my grandparents' altar. Thank you. The story about this is that right before I met Alex, I had this roommate. And we used to swipe left and right together because I was single before I met Alex, you know, obviously, as you would be. And we had a really good relationship, but then as soon as Alex started living with us, in our 3-bedroom house, by the way, it's not like we had a 2-bedroom, we had a 3-bedroom. And so it was huge and roomy, and there's no reason why. But she just kind of, like, moved out on me, and, like, very, very quickly, and then kind of stuck. And it was sad, and I really liked her, and, you know, Sarah, if you ever see my videos, I miss you so much, come back into my life. But she left 2 or 3 boxes in the basement, and she blocked me from all social medias and just, like, ghosted out of my life. But she left 3 boxes, and she left her agate bookends in this box, and man, they're gorgeous. So it was some of the things that I held on to that stuff for like 3 years, by the way. I held on to her things for about 3 years before I just gave up and said, I'm not going to be able to get a hold of this lady, and she obviously doesn't want to talk to me. But anyway, it's just a really beautiful stone. I could see how it would be stress reducing, even just like getting close to it and looking into the pictures of it are just, it's just amazing, you know. Maybe you could do some scrying in your agate. You know, it's really gorgeous stuff. And I love that the outside just looks like a dirty old rock, you know. Almost like a hold stone on some bits. But it's really, really something. I like it. So, agate. Now, in this book, we were, it goes on to talk about all different types of agate and what they do. So, a banded agate, which I don't know how to tell the differences, but the energy is positive, projective, or no, the energy is projective, the element is fire, and the power is protection. It restores bodily energy and eases stressful situations. So a banded agate relieves stressful situations. Hey, I love my Danes. How are you? Nice to see you here. It says black agate, but that doesn't necessarily attach to stress. Black and white agate. That's for physical danger. Blue lace agate. Where to carry for peace and happiness. When you're feeling peace and happiness, you're definitely less stressful, that's for sure. Place in your hand to de-stress. So blue lace agate is one that's exceptional for de-stressing in particular. Lay on your desk or other work station and gaze at it when in stressful situations. So if you had this on your desk, you know, and you were stressing about a deadline at work, you could just, instead of taking a break to get tap water or soda, you could just stare into your agate with your well water that you brought from home and just feel the earth and let it de-stress you out. I don't know. It's just an idea, but yeah. So now it's going to pop up on some other pages, de-stressful stones, and 107. Did anybody say that they knew some de-stressfuls, or what do you say, anti-stress stones, or stones that help you de-stress? Hi, Mama Hennessy, how are you? So nice to see you. Hey, Mama Hennessy, I'm gonna make you a mod, okay? Thank you. I just figured out how to do it. Okay. Alright, so on page 107, it comes up, and it's talking about two things on page 107. Either kunzite, or kunzite, Kunzite, or lapis lazuli. Which one do you guys think it's going to be? Kunzite or lapis lazuli for a stone that'll help you de-stress? You guys put your guesses up while I go ahead and read and see. Okay, hold on. Roadhog has a thing. They say, Roadhog Kennel says, Heather, I'm reluctant to speak. Okay. Well, I was trying to help you. Hey, Zale, how are you? Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Roadhog, if the next thing you type, I will answer for you and help you with any questions. We had somebody that was saying that witchcraft was evil and they'll pray for me. And I'm saying that if any, and then they were making new names under different profiles, and I was saying, my friends, can you please help me if anybody comes on or says something about me or witchcraft being evil, then just go ahead and get rid of that person. So, no, we're all well, Zale. We're all well, Zale. We're reading about gems and herbs and doing some Q&A like we've been doing every day. Okay, so I got a guess on kunzite, and then on the other one will be lapis lazuli. But Mama Hennessy, are you saying lepidolite is a stone that helps with de-stressing? Oh, lurking is fine. I'm here to educate, or even if you just want to hang out, that's fine. We just want kind people, and you are. Roadhog channel from everything I've ever seen. Hey, Cherry Chapstick, nice to see you. Okay, I gotta read and see which one is going to be de-stressful. Well, here we go. Yes, I believe it's the kunzite. Kunzite. The energy is receptive. The planets are Venus and Pluto. The element is Earth. The powers, and here's why, without doing all the reading, I'm going to guess that this is the one that's de-stressing. The powers are relaxation, peace, and grounding. And we learned in the index that Scott Cunningham calls it peace, because in stress, he says also see peace when we're in the index. So I'll continue reading about kunzite, Kunzite, Kunzite. The magical uses. At a recent gem and mineralogical show in San Diego, I stopped by a booth displaying dozens of beautiful pink lilac specimens of kunzite. The stones ranged in size from an inch or so in length to a huge piece a half foot long. The kunzites emitted a peaceful vibration which was apparent just standing near them. Hold this. Doesn't it calm you? A woman asked her companion, pressing a small piece of the stone into his hand. He affirmed that it did. The price tag was a stressful $95. Kunzite is a fairly modern stone. No ancient sources mention it. Yet it has quickly garnered acclaim and few magical uses by those who have worked with it. The best quality kunzite seems to be the lilac shaded pieces. And again, Scotty says right before this that those were pinkish shades, which our lilac here is purple and dark purple and light purple. From what I've been told, the color will fade if exposed to sunlight, and that's just like amethyst. You don't want to put your rich dark purple pieces of amethyst in the sunlight, because that one will fade very, very quickly. Yeah, someone asked about rainbow tourmaline the other day and watermelon tourmaline, and we didn't find it. We didn't find it. So thank you, Anasamli, for asking. But yes, we're not able to find that one in either one of my stone books, sadly. And Dean says he has a tiny piece of kunzite. Yours looks clear with a bit of pink. Just make sure not to, Okay, thank you, Roguehog Kennel. I really appreciate you understanding. And I'm glad that we got that ironed out, because I don't want you to leave. We're glad that you're here. But don't put your kunzite in the sun. It's saying specifically this is one that will lose color in the sunshine. The best quality piece, kunzite, seems to be in the lilac shaded pieces. From what I've been told, the color will fade if exposed to sunlight for too long. It is, as mentioned above, expensive. A quarter-sized piece recently purchased cost $9. I'll show you what a quarter looks like, those of you who are not in the United States. It's not too big. So here's a quarter, and here's a quarter in your hand. You know, that's not a terribly big piece, and that small piece would be about $9. And this was written in the 80s, so it might be $14 now. I don't know. Okay, so I see some stone questions, and we will get to as many of those as we can. Just remember, guys, it's not just stones today. We're also doing herbs today, and we're adding in magical herbalism. So, just so you know, but let me get back to... Thank you for burning a candle for me, Freshwater Fairies. I so appreciate that. Let's get back to reading about the kunzite. Magically, kunzite is held or worn to induce relaxation. And there is the big piece that we probably should highlight of that. Or that I'm going to highlight of that. Magically, kunzite is held or worn to induce relaxation. It releases tension, soothing those muscles in which we often carry the effects of daily stress. Wow. Particularly, though, to daily stress, I think that's great. Passing the stone over tension-ridden parts of the body. So for me, man, my stomach is... Here, I'll show you where I feel my tensions. In stress. Just in stress. So sometimes here at my throat. In my jaw, a lot. Like, I will clench my jaw if I'm trying to hold from saying something. In my stomach is where I get the most stress tension, probably. And then sometimes I'll hold it in my upper legs, too. It just really depends, but know that that tension that comes from stress in your muscles is a completely different type of tension than tension that comes from your mental upset or status or how your day's going, all of that. Hey, Spirit Moon, nice to see you. Welcome. Okay, so passing that stone over tension-ridden parts of the body unknits the muscles. If your work subjects you to pressure, I think most of our works do subject us to pressure because most of us don't have the jobs of our dreams just yet. We have, like, the hobby of our dreams. But let's all turn that hobby into our work, you know, and we'll have stressless lives for the most part, or at least much less stress in our lives. If your work subjects you to pressure, place a piece on your desk, a piece of kunzite, or near your workstation. Hold it in your receptive hand to de-stress. Kunzite kept in the car can help you relax during traffic snarls. If you feel rich enough, add a piece of kunzite to a car protection amulet to ensure that you don't cause problems while behind the wheel. Like amethyst, kunzite is also a peace inducer, and also like amethyst, it fades in the sun. So I think that they might be related in qualities, at least somehow, just because of their look, and that's just my guess. Carry your gaze at it to calm anger, nerves, or fear. Carry or gaze at it to calm anger, nerves, or fear. It is also centering, grounding stone, and so is worn or carried to come down to earth. So it's going to be a really good grounding stone and bring you down to earth so that you're not up here angry You know, at the point where we always say we need to sleep on it, and that's really good advice, to sleep on it. But when you're up here and you're angry and you're at the point where you should sleep on it, if you can't, if you're unable to sleep on it, this happened right in the morning and you've got the whole day to stew on it, hold a piece of kunzite, and this should bring you back down to grounding, back down to earth. And it's really working on these mental stresses, you know, not like we talked about, it will physically take away mental stress in your muscles, which is really amazing. It is also a centering grounding stone and is worn or carried to come down to earth. Kunzite may also be useful for attracting love. Many of its secrets still lay within it, waiting to be discovered. And I think what Scotty's saying there is that out of all the time that we have done research on this stone kunzite, and I'm going to try and look up a picture. Scotty doesn't have pictures in there. I'm going to try and look up a picture in here for you. Out of all this time that we've been working with it, it's we just don't know much about it. And so that would be a beautiful one to use as an intuitive stone. Look how gorgeous that is. That's great. That's super beautiful. So I'll tell you quickly, here's what I'm saying. That's a light pink. That's not the color lilacs we get. I wish it was. The color lilacs we get I actually have some in the kitchen, but they're just this dark, vibrant purple or this really pale purple. But I want to tell you just quickly what are the things say out of this book on kunzite. So color can be pink, green, yellow, lilac, or clear. The appearance is transparent or translucent, striated, like a striated muscle. It's more like a long stringy. Striated, for those of you who do anatomy. Striated crystal, all sizes. Rarity, becoming more readily available. So this book was written sometime probably in this century, and this one was written 20 years before this century started. So perhaps it's becoming more readily available and the price is less, you know, or the same. Yeah, so I'm not going to read all the bunches because we're just doing Scott Cunningham readings, but I'm glad that I got to show you a picture of kunzite. The last one we're going to look up in this book on reducing stress from Scott Cunningham's Crystal, Gem, and Metal Magic is going to be on page 183. I'm just catching up on the chat. Somebody said Jen likes those. Cherry Chopstick said Jen likes those, so I was seeing what she said. Roadhog Kennel says, I'm having a organic quail egg giveaway if anybody here is interested. That's awesome! Let me grab some quail eggs real quick just to show everybody what they look like, because they're so cool when we use them for magic and things. So let me go grab some quail eggs just to show you guys some pictures. That's really awesome, Roadhog Kennel. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. I've got them. Alright, so here's the quail eggs because I save all of that from my magical workings, you know, because they're so pretty. Sometimes when you open them, they have a blue hue to the inside. But I want to hold one up next to a chicken egg so you can see the difference in size. Like this is just a half a chicken egg, but you can see how much bigger it is. And I do believe it takes 3 quail eggs or 4 quail eggs to fit into one chicken egg. Like how many eggs would be the same equivalent? I think it's 3 or 4. But they're so cool, and I've even used these on the end of wands. You can take herbs and do teeny, teeny, tiny herbal workings inside of these quail shells. And if you keep even the little, see, I use the tip of a sharp knife, and because the shell on these is so delicate, so I use the tip of a sharp knife and I crack my way into the egg. This is still connected at the back, as you can see. I tip my egg out into the pan. I get some warm water and I gently, with a Q-tip, rinse out the inside of that from all the like membrane that gets stuck on the inside of the shell. And then you can put this on the end of a wand and use like the quail energies for working. I have that book that we call Beasties, and I did a video on quail and quail egg energy and things like that. But you guys, these are so cool if you open them, you know, if you open them kindly enough, you can get everything just to kind of stay on there and put the lid on and have those little working in there. Those are great things to have to do workings for fertility, for Ostara, for, you know, like that whole coming in of spring, great for protection. You can use the quail energy. So thanks for bringing that up. I'm really glad that you brought that up. That's awesome. Let's see what everybody thinks of those little quail eggs. Well, if there's scissors included, I want to enter. I am a Fisker's fanatic. Alright, so let's go to page 183 and find out our last de-stressing herb in the opinion of, not herb, stone, in the opinion of Scott Cunningham. We're going to throw a little birthday party on Scott Cunningham's birthday, which is June 25th. So whatever day that of the week that falls on, we'll be here throwing Scott Cunningham a birthday party. And I think that we could all be thanking this man. He helps us every day, or me, and then I help you. So, de-stressing stones. Got it. So, in this book that we're in here, right? Crystals, Gem, and Metal Magic. And remember, if you get a copy of this book, it won't look like this, because this is an old one. In the back, Scott Cunningham has a section called Elemental Rulers. In that section, he's got earth, air, fire, water, akasha, and other things. Okay. Under the water section, it says, stones of this element are used in love rituals and for healing, compassion, reconciliation, friendship, purification, de-stressing, peace. Excuse me, excuse my voice. De-stressing, peace, sleep, dreams, and psychism. Now I'm going to read all of these stones. So all of these stones, we could have read this page first and got all of our de-stressing stones. It does not matter. We got to read a bunch about Kusnite. And if we wouldn't have done that reading, I wouldn't have known a bunch about Kusnite now. So, yeah, Alex.
You know anything about this trap that's out in our yard?
What?
There's some kind of animal trap that's out in our yard and there's a dead bird by it.
No, I don't know anything about it. Go to Mike's house and say, what are you putting in our yard? Our landlord has apparently put traps out in our yard for catching birds. I'm so glad to move from this place. Okay. So all of the stones, I definitely need some of these stones in my life. Obviously, we all have little stresses. Okay, so these stones are blue lace agate, amethyst, I have amethyst, aquamarine, azurite, B-E-R-Y-L, beryl, blue calcite, pink calcite, celestite, yes, chalcedony, and I actually have some of that right, wait, no. I have chardonnay, that's not the same thing. Okay. So, Criscola, coral. I want coral. After knowing that stuff, if anybody knows a good place to get coral, please let me know, because I want to do that thing, and I want to make like a garter belt type thing for it. Quartz crystal, I've got that. Geodes, got those. Holy stones, got those. Jade, I actually have, I think this is jade. I'm not sure. Okay, so lapis lazuli. So whoever did guess lapis lazuli, I guess you were right as well because it's on this list. Lepidolite, moonstone, I have loads of that. Mother of pearl, I have loads of that. Pearl, I can wear my pearl necklace. That would probably de-stress and be really nice right there at that throat chakra for like stressful communication and stuff like that. Like if we have to talk to the landlord about that bird. Sapphire. I have black sapphires on my ring here. What else do we have under? These are stones we're reading about that induce peace or involve de-stressing. Pearl, sapphire, selenite. Got my selenite tower here always. It's just good for so many things. Sodalite, Sodalite, sugarlite, blue tourmaline, green tourmaline, and pink tourmaline. You guys know I have a big hunk of my black tourmaline, which I use to charge all of these herbs with that I'm selling on Etsy that I blessed in the moonlight. But I have this. I think this is blue tourmaline, but they're just in smaller pieces and they're striated. And then this is what I was told was a piece of polished blue tourmaline, like on a pendant. So, who's here? You mounted a shrew? That's awesome. You do taxidermy yourself then, I assume, Roadhog, huh? Hi, Joyce. So good to see you. Joyce, how have you been? How's your family been? I really need to know that. Because I've been really thinking about you and your family and what's going on. Okay, so guys, we read everything that we could find on de-stressing stones. So now it's time for someone to go ahead and throw out something that we can look up. Maybe let's do an herb this time. Or if you really wanted to do the stones, we sure could. But today we've also brought in magical herbalism to add to these two if we look up an herb. You got a red coral necklace at a thrift store, Heather Foley? That's so cool. Yeah, I'm hoping to find some once we... Oh, you know what? I have a piece of coral that I got from Galveston, but it's that black coral, remember? It's black coral. So it wouldn't do the shading with the moon cycles and all of that probably, but it's not to say that it wouldn't still work. Okay, so let me put some things away. What herb are we going to look up, y'all? Are we looking up an herb? And Joyce, glad you're here. Do I have kunzite? I don't think so. People send me a lot of stones and then I forget the names, but when I looked at the picture, I don't think I have anything like it because it kind of looks like sea glass, but I'm not seeing any on my shelf. People send me the coolest stuff from all around the world. The first person to ever send me something was Maddie in New Zealand, and she sent me Herkimer diamonds that I work with over here, which are so cool. If you guys don't know about these are one of my favorite things to work with. They usually have 2 points, one on each end. Hey, Madam Butterfly, how are you? Madam Butterfly, I need to make you a mod, okay? I figured out how to add mods and we had problems this morning. But I want to tell you about something that was my favorite thing ever to receive from someone that, Stonewise. Somebody sent me these, I think her name, let me think of her name. 'Cause I know what she looks like in her picture. She wears a pink shirt and she has brown hair to here. What's her name? Well, I have her letter and everything. It's just in my little box of letters. Okay, so anyway, her husband works in a mine. Like, working in the mine. Like, in the South, or I think she's over in a Carolina, perhaps. Somewhere over there. I'm up in Seattle. She's somewhere over there. She's telling me that her husband works with these, like, stones that have never even seen daylight. No humans have ever touched them. No shop has ever put a price tag on it. And I think that's a big deal. Like, when something is sold for money, it's like, it doesn't become less magical, but I feel like if something's never had a price tag on it, it somehow is kind of more magical. And especially if, like, nobody's ever seen it before. So anyway, I have tons of little chips as well, but she sent me all these pieces that her husband just had, like, dug out. And it's really pretty when you get up close, but it's like a very shiny kind of quartz mineral just coming in throughout this rock, which looks kind of slate-like, you know. I do wish I had a better camera. So you can see this white bit is these crystals. And then I have this other jar full of, because I wanted to jar up as much as I could to keep the energy intact. And yeah, I just think that there's something amazing to it because, you know, it's never been in a shop. It was like, and also he went to work that day and he took the fallings just for me. It wasn't like they had had these on their shelf forever. Like, he collected this just thinking about me and with the intention of me having it for this reason. And so, yeah, it's pure. There we go, Zale. That's exactly the wordage I was looking for. It's pure, you know. Yeah. So that was just an amazing, amazing gift, and I just wanted to share that little bit of feeling about stones while we're here talking about stones. So were there any herbs that we wanted to talk about? Let's talk about bay leaves, but I have done a 30-minute video on bay leaves. But let's talk about them because I know that they'll come up in all three of these books. And in the bay leaf video that I did, I think I read from like nine or more books. So if you want more information on bay or bay laurel, just go on YouTube and search the taxidermy witch bay leaves or bay laurel in herbalism. Yeah. You'll find the video. It's out there. But yes, let's talk about it because we should. I was reading about it this morning, so I'm definitely going to want to talk about it. We have a little bay laurel bush, and you can find that in the video that I did. It's probably like from my feet to here. I think it stands about that tall, and we've had it for three years. Okay, it wasn't a lot bigger than that or smaller than that when we first got it. I can't figure out where to be today. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, so bay. Well, you tell me, what book should we read about it from first? It's in all of these books. Which one do you want to hear about bay laurel from first? Red, green, or magical herbalism? Red. Okay, Zale. So remember, in the red book, this is the magic of when we eat it, when we ingest it. These two books, well, this book is just when we use it in workings, and this book tends to be a combination of the two. Alright, but it was smaller bits of information and new information from those other books. Okay, let's go for it. Bay laurel. Comes up on jillion pages in here, but just know that most of the information you can find on one major page, and that's probably going to be page 76. Let's see. it wasn't. I'm trying to figure out what page it is. Just a moment. In the big video, I read from all of these pages, every single one that pops up on this book, and I show you all the different charts where it pops up and all of that. But most of the information we're going to get here. Okay, so when we eat bay leaves or bay laurel, okay, when we eat it, when we ingest it, what do we think that the planet and the element are? Okay, this one, in this book, it doesn't have the gender. In the other book it will, but when we eat it, which can be different from when we use it magically, what do we think the planet is and the element is? Bay laurel. Bay leaves. I'll get some off my shelf to show you. They look a lot different fresh. I mean, and there's a bunch of different kinds of varieties of them to choose from. There's fat leaves, skinny leaves, short ones, round ones, all different shapes and sizes. The most common ones probably look... Oh my gosh, I'm so low. I need to harvest from my plant and dry. Oh boy. But the ones you see in your kitchen do look a lot like this. This one has a hole in it, which means it was made for working. Or maybe you could do some fairy peeking through there. Who knows? But yeah, here's bay laurel. So we're having some guesses. Bye, Ikale. Heather Foley says, earth fire. And Zale says it's masculine, right? Zale, we won't know that till we get to this book. But we'll get there, honey. So the planet is the sun, and the element is fire. Which both of those are a surprise to me. I wouldn't have guessed sun or fire. But I can tell you this. It grows not like a bush that's round. It grows like a bush that's tall. So getting, like if it was growing up toward the sun, straight up, that might make sense to me. And that might be how I remember it just because of how my plant grows. So bay laurel. Planet is the sun, element is fire. And that makes sense, fire now, because it's going toward the sun, toward the big ball of fire in a big point. That's how I'll remember it. Energies, protection, psychic awareness, healing and purification. So when we eat this, the energies that we will obtain will be protection, psychic awareness, healing, and purification. Bay and conjure mountain butterfly? Yeah, absolutely. Yep, horseshoes. We talked about that in my horses video, and it depends on how you see them when you first see them, and is how you should place them in your house. There's such cool lore. Speaking of lore, let's talk about the lore of the bay leaf out of Scott Cunningham's Red Book, right? Wicca in the Kitchen. Lore. Long associated with Greek and Roman deities, bay, laurel, leaves were used to crown Olympic victors. So people who won the Olympics might have had a crown of beautiful bay. It would have been a crown like this, though, a fresh bay like this. I'll show you with my starfruit vine. It would have been a crown like this, like an Olympic crown that went around their head. They wouldn't have all been sitting one by one up. These aren't bay leaves. These are my starfruit leaves, which I'm selling with my dried starfruit. It turned out so cool. Starfruit, if you look it up, is not called starfruit. It's called carambola, and I've done loads of videos on carambola, but look how witchy that is. So yeah, but the reason I pulled that out was to tell you that if we made a crown of bay leaves, you'd take some branches from the plant, of course, after giving an offering and asking, and make your crown this way in a big loop around your head. So, that being said, let's get back to the reading. See, I'm working so hard on all my little herbs, dividing them into fours, and there's just so many cool things in the foragings that I'm putting on those 4 different packages on the Etsy. So I'm really, really excited about that, you guys. Let's keep reading on bay leaves, the lore. So, long associated with Greek and Roman deities, the leaves were used to crown Olympic victors. Bay was dedicated to many deities in the classical world. What is the classical world, and what does that mean? I don't really know. So pretty, right, Heather? Okay, so then it says, on the lore. In the United States, any diner who received a bay leaf in his or her bowl of food made a wish. The bay leaf made the wish come true. So, you know how you use usually one bay leaf to make a whole soup out of? Well, if you were the lucky one who got your bay leaf, which is crunchy, even after you cook it and simmer it in the whole hours of the stew, the leaf's still crunchy. And a lot of chefs will take it out, but many people, and especially in European places that I've eaten at, or had people that are European make me food, it's left in there. So I could totally understand being a diner and being like, oh, I'm going to make a wish on this bay leaf. I got the bay leaf. That's really cool. Okay, magical uses. Bay leaves are just as powerful today as they were in the past. Sparingly add the dried leaves to protection, psychic awareness, healing, and purification foods. Okay, so that was reading out of this book, and this is the magic of when we ingest it. Now let's talk about this book, the magic of when we use it in workings. Okay, not when we eat it. Hey Zara love, how are you? Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. I don't know if I've seen you here before, so it's very exciting to have you. We are in the middle of going through a few books, looking up bay laurel. Bay laurel! So we're having fun doing that. Okay, there's a lot to say in this, and again, that's why the bay laurel video is like 33 minutes that I've done up, and I think there's 9 or 10 books in there. I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I did that video, but just in this book, there's a whole entire page that goes on to the next. Here's bay laurel, and again, do you see, this looks like more like my bush does. Do you see how these leaves are kind of pointy and long and skinny, whereas the ones we'll probably find in our cupboard if we were cooking with them from the grocery store are more rounded and short and round. Yes, they still have the point at either end, but the ones that probably you'll tend to grow will be long and skinny, and you might think, that's not bay laurel, but it is. It's just a different type, and yeah. Hey, from the dark pool, how are you? So nice to see you. Oh, well, I'm so happy that you subscribed today, Zara. We have loads of fun things that we talk about, and if you have any questions and you want to get in on the live Q&A, just wait until I say, okay, the next person to type in herb, and then you'll get to choose something. And if you have a question, just put it in all caps if you really, really need me to read it. So let me get to this, and we'll say the folk names of bay. Is Bay, Bay Laurel, Bay Tree, Dauphine, Grecian Laurel, Laurel, Laurier, Du Alpolano, Laurier Sauce, Lorbeer, Noble Laurel, Roman Laurel, and Sweet Bay. Alright, let's guess the gender, the planet, and the element. Now this is when we use it in magical workings, not when we eat it. All of that can be different when we eat it, but a lot of the time it is the same. So let's guess the gender, the planet, and the element of bay laurel. Gender, planet, element. And Zale guessed masculine, and I will let you guys know as soon as we get a couple of guesses. When we guess what those are and we're right, it helps us trust our intuitions, because most of the time we are right. Most of the time we are, and especially when we start guessing a lot on the different properties of herbs, and we start to kind of get a feel for things, like most of the fruits are water element, and that's something that I've caught on to. And then Zale's guessing that the planet might be the sun, and Heather guesses male, Jupiter, fire. So many good guesses, you guys. Between Zale and Heather, they've got it. Okay. So, Zale guessed masculine in the sun. He is right on both of those, okay? So, Heather, it's masculine, the sun. And it's fire. So, Heather got the fire element. Really good job, you guys. A lot of the times, when sun is there, the element will be fire, from what I tend to see. So the deities attached to the bay laurel or the bay leaf is, I don't know how to say this one. I'm going to have to read it. Ascapulus. Aesculapius. Apollo, Ceres, Faunus, and Eros. The powers, okay? The powers when we use this in workings, not when we eat it, but when we use it, are protection, psychic powers, healing, purification, and strength. All the same powers, but an additional one. The addition when we use it in a working, not when we eat it, is strength. So, let's go on to talk about the ritual uses. The ancient priestess of Apollo chewed bay leaves to induce a prophetic state, and also inhaled their fumes when burned. Bay leaves are used as a decoration at Yule. Hey Tangerine Layla, how are you? Nice to see you. Magical uses of the bay leaf when we use it in a working is used in clairvoyance and wisdom brews. Although its taste is strong, bay leaves are placed beneath the pillow to induce prophetic dreams and are also burned to cause visions. I've worked with that before, and I agree. You can do some really good vision work with the smoke and inhaling the bay. It is a protection and purification herb. Remember when Scott Cunningham uses the word purification? It's cleansing. It's meaning the same thing because he doesn't say cleansing herbs. He says purification herbs, okay? It is a protection and purification herb par excellence and is worn as an amulet to ward off negativity and evil. Burned or scattered during exorcism rituals, placed in the windows to protect against lightning, and hung up to prevent poltergeists from working any mischief in the house. A sprig of bay, so if I were to take a bit off of my tree, like a sprig of it, okay? A sprig of bay is used to sprinkle water during purification ceremonies. So by soaking it in a jar, a sprig of bay in water, you make like a whole type of holy water. Sorry, why'd you retract your message? Put it back. I want to see what you have to say. Alright. Where are we here? Bay leaves mixed with sandalwood can be burned to remove curses and evil spells. So in that same jar you could put a stick of sandalwood. And I'm not talking about incense, I'm talking about the raw sticks of sandalwood like I have and sell on my site and stuff. Yeah, you can ask anything here, just as long as we don't pick on each other. That's really the only rule. You can ask anything here. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the reading. To ensure that a love will stay, the couple should break off a twig from the tree and then break this into two, each keeping a half. That's awesome. I like that. I'm going to highlight that bit. Bay leaves give strength to those engaged in wrestling and athletic sports if worn at the time of competition. Wishes are written on bay leaves, which a lot of people do this. Wishes are written on bay leaves, which are then burned to make them come true. And a bay leaf held in the mouth wards off bad luck. That's fantastic information, Scotty. Thank you. So that was the reading from Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs that we read out of almost every day. Yeah, no problem, Zara. I just wanted to let you know, honestly, anything is a good question. There are no silly questions here. So, we're going to talk about Bay Laurel out of a book that haven't read from in a really long time, and I've never really focused on the channel. But I feel like it's quite underrated, and it's Magical Herbalism by Scott Cunningham. It's not a humongous book, as you can see. It's not a huge book, but it is additional information. I believe it is a book that is, instead of having a revision of these two, it's just like additional information to these two. That's what I think that this book is. And for those of you who own Scotty's collection, I'd love to know if you guys think that that is true as well. So I'm going to go to the back and look up Bay Laurel because it comes up a few times, I believe, in here, but it still has that main chunk. Yeah, more info, more better, right? Right, Wiley Kylie? Wiley Kylie showed up in my dream last night. And you guys are going to think that's nuts. But your icon, and your name showed up in a dream last night, and it was just a floating bubble, and I was talking to you in my dream as a friend. And that's the first time that's ever happened, and I just thought I had to tell you. Because I was watching Wile E. Coyote before bed last night, which is like an old cartoon. So anyway, I think that that's really weird, because I don't know what you look like, a lot of you, so it's just this icon was in my dream. Crazy! Bay Laurel. Okay, yeah, it appears on loads of pages in here, so I'm going to write them all down, and then we're going to find them and read them. Again, I've done a big whole video on Bay Laurel. It's like 30 minutes or something, very long, and read a bunch of books, but let's talk about it now, because why not? Page 11, page 50, page 53, 56, 62, 91, 126 through 127, and that'll probably be the bulk of it. Page 142, 215, 222, love that number. And that's it. Okay, so Bay Laurel. It's going to come up a lot of times. Like I say, you guys, it was enough to make a gigantic video just on this teeny tiny thing that most of us can find in our kitchen. Makes a great soup, doesn't it? Alright. Meep meep. Exactly, Heather Foley. Meep meep. Okay. Let's go to page 11, where it says it first comes up in this book, Magical Herbalism by Scott Cunningham. Look at the art on his books. I really do love the art on his books. Oh, okay. So, and it's just talking about tools of the magical herbalist, and it just says that a dip pen, you know, a dip pen like I sell my peacock feather dip pens, my white peacock feather dip pens on my Etsy shop. So a dip pen, no ballpoints, and a black, red, and green ink, and of course a large supply of herbs. So it's just talking about herbs that you can have. It says a basic beginning section might include. So this is Scotty's, this is great information. This is what Scotty says is a really good small starter kit to start with as a witch, okay? A basic beginning selection might include rosemary, vervain, bay laurel, yarrow, rue, frankincense, cinnamon, eucalyptus, and mistletoe. These are useful in a wide variety of spells and are fairly easily obtainable. So I am going to circle that because I think that that in itself would make a great snippet video for someone just to know an opinion from a great herbalist. That his knowledge of herbs can be used from Wicca to Hoodoo to everywhere in between. And practitioners of these different types of witchcraft all refer to this as being the best book out there. So I think that that's great to note in any book of shadows for any new witch. And there's two on here that I don't have. You all know that I've been trying to get rue for forever, and I don't have vervain. And I know that they're both amazing. So those are two on that list that I don't have. But the rest I grow or obtain. Like, I don't grow frankincense or cinnamon. But I am getting a dragon's blood tree. It's been confirmed as soon as we get to Texas. We have 3 sources for a dragon blood tree now, which actually bleeds the sap that is our dragon's blood. Oh gosh, so cool. So we read off page 11. Now let's go to page 50. Hi Nona Grace, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here to learn. Great. We're adding in the book today of Scott Cunningham's Magical Herbalism, and that's kind of a main focus. Hey Roadhog, thanks for stopping by. It was good to have you. It's good to have you. Okay, so reading about Bay Laurel, for those of you who just joined. And page 50. is where we're headed in magical herbalism. By Scotty. Are you guys excited to come to Scott Cunningham's birthday party? I'm going to throw him live right here on the channel. It's going to be so much fun. So on page 50, bay laurel comes up under protective herbs. So it is good for protection. And on page 53, bay laurel pops up, and I believe it's talking about anti-lightning. Let me just see. Yes, anti-lightning charms for those living in lightning-prone places can be made from mistletoe, hawthorn, and bay laurel. So that was the information we got on that tree. Yeah, dragon's blood tree, and if you guys remind me sometime, maybe not today, but sometime, we can read about the dragon's blood tree in here. It's really cool. Okay. So now we're going to find it, talking about bay laurel on page 56. And what he's saying here on page 56 is he's making a protection wreath. And that protection wreath has these ingredients, these herbal ingredients entwined. Rosemary, bay laurel, vervain, mistletoe, rue, mugwort, hyssop, fennel, basil, etc. But yes, as we know, it's good for protection. There is a working for a protection wreath in this book where bay laurel pops up. And now we're going on to page 62. And bay laurel, well, here it's talking about the clairvoyance brew. And we know from the earlier reading that it's in addition to that clairvoyance brew. Isn't that right? Why isn't it popping up there? So he's giving you a bunch of information on how to get this clairvoyance brew going. It says, I'll just read the first part of it because we probably don't want to read the whole thing. Maybe on a separate video if we try it out. Clairvoyance brews. The cauldron, traditional tool of the witch, was often employed in the preparation of a clairvoyance brew. The witch filled the cauldron with spring water and then hung it over a fire on a tripod. When the water was boiling, she threw into the pot shredded bay laurel leaves, and you would need to shred them when they're fresh unless you crush them up, but shredded, mugwort, and cinnafoil. The witch then manipulated the lid to direct and concentrate the steam rising from the bubbling cauldron. Inhaling it, she entered a psychic state and called out predictions to her clients. The same method can be used on your gas flame, tells you kind of how you could do it today. But let me show you with my cauldron how I think that it's tipping it so that you can inhale it. I'll show you. Let me get my cauldron. My cauldron's quite big. And I can't let it flip the board, but I think they just want you to sit with your face near it. But remember, there's a fire below, so maybe your face above it. With a, this is all cast iron, so this will all be hot, so you need to have like a really good oven glove or something, and you would just open this a bit and let the steam come out so you could breathe it, you know, just kind of over this. Another way that we do this sometimes in herbalism is to get, to breathe something is we'll put a damp towel over our head. So if you get a bath towel, a large one, and you get it damp and you put it over your head and you put it over a pot to like inhale eucalyptus oil and clear out the sinuses. You know, if you were careful and with the fire element of that, because it's going to be over a fire, if you're very, very careful not to get the towel on fire, you could do this inhalation that way. Moderate the May Queen. Okay. But Tangerine, people only get one chance.
I'm going to feed goats.
Okay, can you turn the TV off, sugar? Yeah. Thanks, love you. Drive safe. Give the goats a kiss for us. Alex is going to give the goats a kiss from everybody, okay? You should do a video while you're out there.
Yeah, I'd love to find my... I can't find my... thingy.
Yeah, I don't know where it is, Boo, but if I find it, I'll let you know. It's not in the truck? Okay, so that's how I think you would do it. I think that you'd have the lid and you would just tip it a little bit so that the steam came out your way, and if you had that towel over your head, it really would help. So, bye, Alex! He's out there singing. He knows how I feel about noise. Yes, yes, yes. You had to sage yourself? Are you okay, Silver Willow? Okay, so we were reading from page 62 in Magical Herbalism, where it was talking about lovely bay laurel and using it in a clairvoyance brew, okay? And anything that's a clairvoyance brew, I do believe to just be a clair brew, and I think that it would help you with your clairvoyance, your clairsentience, your claircognizance, or your clairaudience. I don't think that it would... This is just coming from my heart. I don't know for sure, but I really think that something that helps with clairvoyance will help with any of the other 3 clairs as well. Okay. So now we're on to page 91. I need a back scratcher. I have a chicken foot back scratcher, but I can't find it. And I have an itch on my back. It's like driving me nuts. Okay. It's a little monster back there. Okay, so on page 91, bay laurel comes up under the fire element. And what Scotty does in this part of the book is he just says, here's all the earth herbs, here's all the fire herbs, here's all the air herbs, here's all the whatever herbs. And then he kind of does it that way. Okay, so then it comes up under the fire herbs. So page 126 through 127 is where we're going to have the bulk of the reading here. Okay, so on page 126 and 127, they're talking about an incense for this god or goddess. Kyphi, K-Y, or K-Y-P-H-I. An ancient Egyptian blend often used in general magic working and especially burned at night. There's a whole, ritual for how to make this incense, and the herbs that go in it are bay laurel, and along with a bunch of other stuff. But they're actually making this wine, herbal wine offering. Okay, so bay laurel appears on there, and then it appears again on the following page in a circle incense. Okay, and Scotty says that the circle incense is good for general magical work, and this formula is well suited and very helpful in raising power. And this incense has frankincense, myrrh, benzoin, cinnamon, rose petals, vervain, rosemary, sandalwood, and bay laurel. Okay, and it gives full instructions and everything like that. Page 142. This must be yep. Okay, here's where we have the bulk of the info. So the next book that we're going to be reading about. No, we just did moderators today, Silver Willow. I just figured it out on a whim when we had a very sad person come on and say, not hateful things, but just stuff we didn't need to hear. Okay, so bay laurel. Oh, we did read from it in this book already. So, remember when we read it from it in this book? And it said a gender, and the gender was masculine. Well, in this book, they give a different thing for genders, and I'll show you on this one. This is benzoin. The gender is hot. So in this one, the genders are either hot or cold. And I don't know how to explain to you what that means. But let's guess the gender in this one. Do you think Bay Laurel is hot or cold? The folk names that he gives in this one are Bay, Bay Tree, Grecian Laurel, Indian Bay, Roman Laurel, Sweet Bay, and Bayi. The planet and the element are the same as they were in the Green Book. The planet is the sun and the element is fire. Now the associated deities, he changes them up, so he's adding some. He keeps Apollo, he gives us Ceres, Ceres, and Kiridwin, and Aspoculus. The parts used are the leaves. The basic powers: protection, clairvoyance, exorcism, purification, and healing. So he's updated it in this book and added exorcism where that wasn't in here, I don't believe. And what do you guys think the gender is? Speaking of gender, does anyone happen to know what gender of Rose of Jericho gender is? Either male or female. It's whatever comes to you. You're supposed to, right when you get it, try to bond with it and find a gender and a name. And that's the legends that I've read, and I think I talked about that in my Rose of Jericho videos. So Heather guesses hot. Zale, are you still here? Do you want to guess the temperature gender? So Bay Laurel is a hot gender, so I'm going to go ahead and think that masculine is always hot, and that female is always cold. I'm only going to guess that because we know it's a masculine gender. And Gail guessed hot, yeah. Trish, goats are people too. Goats are people too, you guys. And so are mountain lions. And so are cougars. Alright, so specific... he also adds the word clairvoyance to the basic powers, where that was talked about in here, but it wasn't under where you just go to look quickly at the basic powers. So... yeah, but Mama Hennessy, do you think it's a boy or a girl, and have you named it yet? Have you done the, like, sit-down thing with it and said, I love you, thank you for being here, giving it a kiss and all that? You were going to guess male, Nona Grace. And Freshwater says that makes sense. The sun is associated with masculine and the moon is feminine. And see, these are things that, like, I know I've read before, but since I'm not Wiccan and I'm eclectic, that I don't think I remember all of the little stuff that a lot of the people in the Wiccan community, it's basics for them. Yeah, so specific uses: burn the leaves to induce visions, which we talked a little bit about before. Wear it as an amulet to ward off negativity and evil. Burn and scatter on the floor in exorcism and purification rituals. Put leaves under the pillow to induce inspiration and prophetic dreams. Add to purification incenses and baths. Use in healing incenses and sachets. Pick while facing east just at sunrise. That's new information, not from any of those other books. Protection against lightning. So we did get some new bits of information, as well as some of that bigger information broke down in smaller chunks. So do you see kind of what this book is in comparison to these books? You know, it takes a little bit from both and then gives you a little bit of new information and is a smaller book. So I think it's cool. I think it's cool for that reason. And hey, we've done it. We read from Bay Laurel and all of these, unless for some reason, because sometimes herbs do come up in this book. Let me just see if Bay Laurel's in here. But yeah, guys, I have done a 30-minute video on Bay Laurel and read out of 9 or 10 books. So if you want to check that out, please do. Just look up Taxidermy Witch, Bay Laurel, Herbalism. You'll find it. No, I'm not finding it in here. Nope, I did. Page 121. It does come up in here in this stone book. Scott Cunningham, you're brilliant. 121. Anyone want to guess what stone Bay Laurel might be attached to? I mean, I'm surprised. I'm trying to find it on the page while you guys are guessing what stone it might be attached to. Yep, okay, I found it. What stone do we think Bay Laurel might be attached to? What stone? Emily, thanks for guessing. She guesses obsidian. And Zale guesses sunstone. And Tangerine guesses a dark one like jet or obsidian. Great guesses, you guys. Thanks for guessing. That was a great amount of stuff on Bay, wasn't it, Wiley Kylie? Yeah, Jamaica, Mama Hennessy, just spend some special time with it and just listen. And just listen, listen, listen. Burn some incense for him or her. Heather guesses quartz. Teodri guesses maybe a carbonite stone. I hear that word in your head. All right, let's read it. Clear quartz. Opal! Opal! So, awesomely enough, in this book, at the top, it'll say energies, planet, element, deity, and under some of them, it'll say associated herb. And the associated herb is bay to the opal. Does it go into it more? I'm not sure. I'm trying to find that out. Yeah. In the past, opals were used to create invisibility. The gem was wrapped in a fresh bay leaf and carried for this purpose. I love that information. I love that information so much, so much. I love that information because I do a lot of invisibility workings for people. I so love that information. So, I don't have opals right now, but I'm going to work on maybe getting some. And I always have fresh bay leaves. And I always need invisibility, especially when I want to go do stuff in my garden and my landlord, who's a pervert, is always out there. So it's just like, it is cool beans. So, so, so cool. Does opalite count? I don't know. It says opal. Tangerine, I'd use your intuition on that one. But the powers of the opal are astral projections, psychism, beauty, money, luck, and power. So cool. So cool. Every day this man, Scott Cunningham, surprises me. I know that landlord, man. Ugh. And especially with that trap in front of the garden. What is that? Stay out of our garden. Why is he trying to trap stuff in front of my magical garden? Why is he trying to put those energies out there? Okay, so for those of you who are here and you want me to look up something from, an herb or a crystal, now is the time. First person to get it up in there, and oh god, I heard it. So the first person to say an herb, if we've not already done it, we'll do it. Demania, excellent, thank you, Zale. Demania. Wait, Zale, did you pick Bay? I think we gotta do. I think if Zale, did you pick bay leaves? Because if you did, I gotta take somebody else. But we will need to do Demania soon. And if Zale did pick bay leaves, then we're going to do vervain. You didn't? Okay, good. So let's do Demania. And I'm going to sit down for this one, I think, because, yeah. Oh, it's a shorty. So Demania, and first we're reading out of Cunningham's Encyclopedia for Magical Herbs. This is when we use them in a working. The red book is when we eat them, okay? So, Demania looks like that. The folk name is Mexican Demania. Let's guess the gender, the planet, and the element. Okay, guys? What gender do we think it is? What planet and what element? Demania. Oh, freshwater fairies. You picked bay leaves. Excellent one. Thank you. Okay, here's some guesses. Heather Foley says female, Venus, water. Erica says female and Saturn or Mars. Erica, pick Saturn or Mars. Why do I keep hearing Dagwood in your head? You're funny. Madam Butterfly says air. Zale, you're new to this when you're learning it, so you'll step out. Okay, no worries. Saturn, Erica says. Okay, here we go. Demania, gender, masculine. Okay. And I would be able to remember that just because it says the word man in the name. See how man is in there? M-A-N. And it doesn't spell female, but it says man. Okay. That's how I'd remember Demania as man. Like, I'm saying this if you guys wanted to seriously put these herbs on flashcards and memorize them. you know, like you were studying for a test. Loads of people memorize herbs that way, and I will do a video just to show you guys how fun that is with flashcards. It's a good time, especially if you have a friend that's a witch and you can physically be with each other. But it'd be really fun, I think, if I put loads of these on flashcards and we came on every day and did 100 until we got them all right. That would be so fun. Silver Willow guesses masculine, Mars, fire, and she is absolutely right. It is masculine, Mars, and fire. And I know a lot of you guys got that right too. So very good job. It's banned in New Orleans because it's used in the making of spice. What is spice a drug? Is that like a bath salt type thing? I don't know. I know about drugs, but just not that. Did anyone else hear that knocking? Did anyone just hear a knocking? A teeny tiny did anyone hear that? Last time you guys heard it and there was nobody out there. If you control the spice, you control the universe. It's synthetic weed. Oh, right. That makes people crazy. Right. I've heard about that. You guys heard the teeny tiny knocking? You did? Dude! Let me just go outside really quick and check to see what that was. We're coming back to talk about Domania, but I have to see what's going on in my house. Hello? Spirit guides? No, see, this is the thing. Nobody's here. There's no package at the door. The neighbors aren't out. Their cars aren't even in the driveway. So, like, who did the knocking? The last time that happened to us, the knocking was right on the other side of my door. This time the knocking sounded like it came from the living room wall. And it was just a tiny t-t-t. Last time we were sitting in my normal spot in bed right here. Okay? We were sitting in bed and I heard it right outside of the door. And Alex was outside and nobody else was in the house. And I heard it like right behind me. So I think it's my spirit guides, and I think that they're saying hello, because I don't know any other way to explain it, but the last couple days I've been saying out loud to my spirit guides that they can show themselves to me and I'm ready and I won't get scared, and they can show themselves in more of a physical way and I'm ready. Even though I'm not as ready as I want to be, I've been saying that out loud a lot lately since Stargirl put out that video talking about making contact, like physical contact with your spirit guides. Anyway, that's really cool. Before I get back to Domania, I have to ask, did anybody send me a package that looks like this from North Carolina? It's not a book. I think it's a birthday gift, but I don't know the first name. I'll say the initials of the first name and the surname. The first name starts with P, and it's a woman, and the last name starts with S. From North Carolina. So if somebody sent me this package, I need to know what it is before I open it. But I know that there's loads of people sending me birthday gifts, because we're going to have my birthday next Thursday live on YouTube. So if anybody wants to send for my birthday, they just use this address. So yes, if you want to send something my way for my birthday, that is the address that you use. And moving along, let's talk more about Domania. So yeah, we got the gender was masculine, the planet is Mars, and the element is fire. The powers are lust, love, and visions. Okay. Magical uses. Domania is used in lust infusions as well as lust spells. It is also burned to produce visions. So not a ton there on Domania. Hey Dre Power, how are you? Nice to see you here in the chat. I don't think I've seen you before, so welcome. Alright, okay. Thank you, mods, for doing your job. Please make sure that everything stays good while I am reading. Okay. Let's look up in this book and see if we can't find Domania in here. I don't have it on my magical shelf at the moment. I've used it in the past, but I don't have it right now. But it is sounding like something I'd like to get my hands on again. Because I'm learning new things about it that aren't the reason I used it initially. So let's see if Domania comes up in this book. It may not. Yeah, Dre, I don't remember seeing you at one of the lives yet, so welcome. It's super fun. If you have any questions on herbs, please go ahead, and since you're new here, we can take your questions. Is there an herb you've always wanted to know about? An herb or a fruit or anything? So yeah, Domania comes on page 124 in Magical Herbalism. And they're not saying too much about it, but it's saying that it's good in a meditation incense is where it pops up on page 124, and it says a good blend for a meditation incense is, funnily enough, bay leaves, which we just talked about, sandalwood, Domania. Blend those maybe equal parts. Burn a little bit at a time. Do not set too much smoldering on the coals directly before going into meditation. Yeah, bay leaf, sandalwood, and Domania. So that's where that pops up in that book. It doesn't have a section where it really goes in and talks about it. And since it's not particularly an edible, it's not going to show up in this book. Great question. And let's see. It's from I Love My Danes, the package. Okay, great. Thank you, I Love My Danes. I just needed to make sure. I need to write on my package. I love my Danes. Thank you for the birthday gift. I'm going to wait to open it until my party. And it's going to be really fun. Because I have some other people sending things my way. Okay, so let's talk about to our new person who's never been on the chat before. And that is Drea. Am I saying that right, or is it just Drea? Drea Power. Do you want to go ahead and pick an herb since you're brand new here on the channel, and we can look it up for you and talk about it a little bit? And if I have it on my shelf, I will show it to you. Thank you! She says happy birthday. I'm pretty much into anything with a magical or medical use, but if you have any question about something in particular, I'll ask. Thank you. Okay, perfect. I'll move on to somebody else then if they want to. But yeah, we try and come on every single day, Dre. And everybody that's new here to do readings out of these books so you guys can do a Q&A. And I have 70 or 80 different magical books, and I just pick a few books a morning and we decide what we're going to talk about. So, but I think it's good because lemon verbena, you got it, darling. Most call you Dre. Okay, like the doctor. Like Dr. Dre. Lemon verbena, you got it. And I have not done a video on lemon verbena. So here we go. Let's check first if it comes up in this book, just to see if it has an associated stone. So I looked under lemon, it's not there. Let's look under verbena. And it's not under there either. It was a long shot, but sometimes, like we know, herbs will come out in there. Can we talk about dogwood next? Yes, we can, Heather. Because I have some dried. We sure can. You guys make sure to remind me after we're done talking about lemon verbena, we talk about dogwood. The dogwood tree outside of my window is all done blossoming. I'll show that to you. It's just that tree there right outside of my window. And it had those big, beautiful white blossoms. But it's all done now. And that's okay. I got some dried and saved, and it's going to be great. Lemon verbena. Okay. So let's try this book first. Magical Herbalism by Scott Cunningham. Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs by Scott Cunningham. So it's got vervain. And I know we're looking up something different, but I've looked under V in case it was under verbena. Now I'm going to look under L for lemon. Lemon OP. Yay! Okay guys, in this book there are 3 herbs that start with the word lemon. What do you think they are? We know one's lemon verbena. What are the other 2? Let's be interactive and have some fun. So in Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, what 3 things pop up with the first part of the word being lemon? Lemon balm. It's a great guess, but that's not where it comes up. It comes up under balm lemon. But I'm going to take it anyway, Mama Hennessy, because it should. Lemongrass. Yep, Zale, lemongrass is in there. Haha! Tangerine Layla is pretty much right. She says zest. And yes, the other part that comes up in here is the, in fact, just the lemon. So don't think because it's not an herb that it's like a fruit or a food that it's only going to pop up in this book, because most of the fruits and foods also pop up over here. So we have, and when you're looking for lemon balm, just in this book look under B, and it comes up as balm lemon. And I've had people have trouble with that before, so I'm glad that we talked about it. It's right there next to Balm of Gilead, there's balm lemon. So in this book, make sure you check a couple different ways to say it, because it might not be in the place you think it would be. But let's talk about this lemon verbena. I love lemon balm too. I've done a video on lemon balm. It's fantastic. Okay, let's have a seat for it. And I'm so glad I know where my birthday gift came from. I can't wait to open it. I love my Danes. Thank you so much. When I was a kid, I would plan these like fantastic parties for myself, and I guess they weren't fun because nobody came, but I'm excited to spend my birthday with you guys this year, and I know it'll be a really good fun turnout, so it's time for a change. Let's sit down. Okay. Alrighty. Here you are. Lemon verbena. I don't know why I call it verbena. There's no Y in it, but here's what the plant looks like. Kind of looks like when something's gone to seed. And then here are the lovely leaves. Here's that. So let's guess the gender, the planet, and the element. The folk names are Cedron or Yerba Louisa. Yerba Louisa and Cedron. So what's the gender, what's the planet, and what's the element? I'm starting to really see things here. It grows in the shape kind of like bay laurel, which we just talked about earlier in this video. And in bay laurel, it grew in this direction that I said reminded me of the element. Dre says, I have lemon balm plant growing big and beautiful at your parents' house. You live on a mountain and don't want to take chances with moving it, but you're always surprised how quickly it grows. It does grow really well, Dre. You're absolutely right. My husband grows it, and if you ever need advice on transplanting and what's safe in that, you can always ask us, and I'll ask him for you too if you ever need any help with that. And he has a channel called Jukshy Farms, JUKSHYFARMS on YouTube, and you can ask questions there or with me. But yeah, if you need help on planting. So who did some guesses? Let's see. Fire, Mercury. No idea. Air, masculine. Okay, Zale, you're right. It's masculine. The element is air, and the planet is Mercury. And when I was saying about how the plant grows, it grows like bay laurel, where it looks like it's just going straight up, and there's not a real bush to it. It's just tall and pointy. So to me, that reminds me of the air element, or the sun element, or sun planet. Powers are purification and love. The magical uses: if this plant is hung around the neck, and if it was me to hang around the neck, I might take those leaves and weave them into a necklace if I could, of some sort, or make some kind of necklace out of the stem, you know, and maybe tie a necklace with the leaves coming off this way. I'm not afraid of a big statement piece. I'm not afraid to put a big old painted chicken's foot on a necklace and wear it around. But, you know, if that's not your thing, then just put it under your jacket. You know, these necklaces or these pieces that we create, you know, to be with us as talismans or amulets. So if this plant is hung around the neck, or a bit of its juice is drunk, it will preserve you from dreaming. So let's say you're super stressed and you're having crazy ass nightmares and you can't get over it. That might be a time you would want to use it. Lemon verbena is also worn to make oneself attractive to the opposite sex, and is used in love spells and mixtures. The herb is added to other mixtures to increase their strength, and sometimes is utilized to purify an area, or is added to bathwater for purification purposes. Okay, remember the word purification, when Scotty uses it, he's saying cleansing. Because I think a lot of us ask for these cleansing herbs, and I agree with you, I'm right there with you, I want them too. It's just he calls it purification in his book, so pay attention to that. And that's that on that. So now let's go. So it doesn't make an appearance in this book. I'm done being frozen now, right, you guys? I saw that it buffered, but it's good now, right? It's back. Okay, great. And Joyce says, I still haven't seen it flower. Maybe it's in too much shade. Yeah, I'll ask him about that too today. You're welcome. Anytime. So let me see. Lemon verbena. Verbena? Verbena? Found it. Comes up 3 spots in this book. Page 90, 132, and 172. 90, 32, 132, and 172. Is that what I said? Is that what I said? Sorry. Yeah, right. Here we are. 90, 132, 172. Okay. And we're reading out of Magical Herbalism by Scott Cunningham. So on page 90, oh yeah, a big pot would be a good idea, I think too. And the big pot's good too, and Alex does a lot of pot gardening even outside, because then you can move it in and out of the shade. You can take a lot of care and appreciation with it. If there's a storm outside, you can bring it inside. So we do a lot of pot gardening. So on page 90, lemon verbena comes up under the elements, and it's just in a big list with all of the herbs for air. Okay. Now on page 132, it comes up as one of the comes up in amulets, it looks like. 132. And it's suggesting for an amulet, to keep one from dreaming, hang a sprig of lemon verbena around the neck, which we've read already in the Green Book by Scott Cunningham. So on page 172, this is where we find its information without a picture. Who wants to guess the gender? Do we think that it's hot or cold? Lemon verbena. Do we think that it's hot or cold? Remember, in the green book it was masculine. Male, hot, hot. Okay. Great guesses. I think we're all going to be disappointed when we learn that we were wrong. The gender in this book has nothing to do with the gender in this book. Here's how I know that. Because it says lemon verbena is masculine. And last time we read one was masculine, it was hot. Right, you guys? Well, this one says the gender is cold. So, that was a surprise, wasn't it? Folk names, Yerba Luisa and Cedron. Planet, Venus. Element, air. Parts used, the herb. Basic powers, protection and love. Specific uses, where to make oneself attracted to the opposite sex. A strengthening herb, often added to charms to add extra power. Hang a sprig around your neck to stop you from dreaming. So this book gave us no information we didn't have from the other book. So that was a little bit of a bummer. I guess it did give us that the gender is cold. And I'm not dissing on Scotty. I'm just saying it's interesting when we put them together and see how much is actually there that we didn't have from the other part of the book. So what did we say we were going to talk about next? Somebody, was it Heather Foley, had you asked for something to come next, and I am spacing on what it was, so just go ahead and say it. I'm looking for it right now, but you'll probably say it quicker. Dogwood, that's what it was. We have two kinds of dogwood that I have to show you. Cherry chopstick. Marijuana would be quite quite a big video that I feel like I'd have to do loads of research for, but I won't forget about it, cherry chopstick. Let's read about dogwood. Oh, about the... I get what you're saying, Heather. Maybe in that Ayurvedic book. I'm going to go get some dogwood to show you guys. Okay. So here is some of the dogwood that I have given offerings to. You guys saw when I did the offering right outside of my window to the tree out there. And here are those dogwood blossoms all dried. And the leaves and the wood. See how I actually have the dogwood? I have the leaves and I have the flowers, okay? Now this is a different kind of dogwood. The one I just showed you is the type that's really common. It's like, a lot of the times it's mint green. It looks white from far away, but when you get real close it's like a very, very, very light pastel mint green. And then here, I've got this humongous piece I dried. It's so cool. And its flowers are pinkish purple. And I'm glad I have this big piece because now I have a piece big enough to make like at least one wand out of. It'll be a thin wand, but from the base down here up to about here, I've got one big nice structured piece that I can use for wands. Now that's not to say I can't put a lot of these straight twigs together and make some sort of rattle, or like when I do my window charms I make a rattle to activation, you know, like an activator. But I did cut this knowing that, from a very, very big tree, knowing that, you know, kind of looking for that one basic piece that I could make a wand out of. a lot of people say if you want to make a wand, to make it the size from your finger down to in the middle of your arm, right? To make it that long. But you could do it however it feels right. But just one more close picture of the dogwood before we read about it. So again, it can come in all varieties, all colors, you know. The world is beautiful, yeah? Yeah. Okay, now that I've set that down, I'll come up and join y'all. Okay, Zale, thanks for joining us. That was super funny. Or super fun to have you, not super funny. I don't know what I'm talking about. Really good to have you here. Yeah, so let's talk about dogwood. Now, we're not going to look in this book because it's non-edible. That's not to say it won't pop up, but it probably won't pop up. We will, however, look in this book to see that if it does pop up and under stones. No, but it was worth a try. Alright, so now we'll look in Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs for Dogwood, which I know it's in here. Okay. So here's a picture of the dogwood, what I just showed you. And let's go ahead and, wait. Crazy news. It doesn't, look at this. It doesn't have a gender, a planet, or an element. It just has folk names, powers, and magical uses. Okay. So dogwood, folk names, boxwood, budwood, dog tree, Florida dogwood, flowering cornel, flowering dogwood, green osier, O-S-I-E-R, Virginia dogwood. Powers, does anybody know the powers? Let's go ahead and guess that since we don't have anything else really to guess. What do we think the powers of the dogwood are? What do you think it will do for us magically, the dogwood? What is your guess? And it doesn't come up in this book, so these are going to get, this is going to be the only information we have. What, I'm asking you, what do you think it does? That's funny, Tangerine. The name Dagwood is an English baby name. In English, the meaning of the dagwood is bright wood from the Bright One's forest. Interesting. Okay, so the powers of the dogwood are wishes and protection. Okay? Magical uses. Place the sap of the dogwood into a handkerchief on Midsummer's Eve. This will grant any wish you may have if you faithfully carry the handkerchief. Dogwood leaves, or the wood, are also placed in protective amulets. So out of that, we talked about everything except the flower. So if you can find no other information on how to use the flower, then perhaps as a beautiful offering to a god, a goddess, a deity, a saint, an ancestor, or use it for whatever your intuition says. Or, since dogwood comes in a variety of colors, use the color green or white, or pink, or purple, whatever color you find it in. Use it as an element of adding color magic to it. So if you know, white circumferences all things, well then you can just pick out anything, or just pick purification. Now pink, we've done a video on pink and all the things it covers in color magic. You can add that element to heighten your magic as well. So I think, I'm trying to read these comments here. What do you guys want to look up next? What shall we pick to look up next? I'd love to talk about cattails if you guys want to. I think there's another name for it, but I also can't remember it, so let's look under cattails. Yeah, it's just under here is cattail. Let me go get some for you guys to see because I did harvest some this spring and really enjoy it. And I always remember it only has one use, and I always remember what the use is. What do you guys think the use of cattail is? And Ikeel, we can do ginger next because cattail is not going to take long at all. It's very short, brief. So, I have a story to tell in regards to the cattail. Yeah, people eat cattails. Yep, I knew that. You played with cattails a lot when you were young, Cherry Chopstick. That's awesome. After this, we're going to do... there's so many herbs that have been thrown out in between. We're going to do cattail. After we do cattail, the first person to type in what they want will get it, because I don't know how to pick between the people that have put things up. So just hold off on what you say you want to have until I say, okay, it's time. Okay, so cattail. I have... They are what you see in the ponds. And there's these big giant kind of blades of grass coming out of like a murky, muddy pond. And it's the thing that looks like this. You know, and this is like a dark brown, and then it's on a big stalk, like a kind of like a corn stalk type thing, okay? And so in the jar, this is the big tuft there, and it's so interesting because when you pick this, it's still in that big firm tuft, like that, okay, it's when you pick it out of the ground. See, there's not even a good picture on here. When you pick it, that black part that's right there that I was drawing for you, it's still intact. But then when you get it home to dry it, do you know what happens? Has anybody else ever picked and foraged cattail before? I had to get mine from the side of the freeway. And actually, like, get out of the car onto the side of the freeway. Okay, so, yes! It explodes! I had no idea, but like the seeds, and these are the seeds, it looks like cotton, they exploded, and it, I didn't cut into it, nothing, I was just drying it, it wasn't even upside down, it was laying down, and then it looked like this white gunk was like being out of it. I looked at it 1 hour later, and it was like a big white gunk ball, and these seeds once I broke it away from the earth, the seeds slowly started to just ooze out, and they weren't wet, but it was like a wet looking ooze that came out, and of that white stuff's the ooze I'm talking about. And here's the cattail right there. I plucked one cattail, and so I'm going to try and open this without having the seeds go everywhere, but I'll tell you what, on top of the bed is the perfect place to have these, because it only is good for one thing. Here's all these seeds that oozed, and like I say, they're like little tiny dandelion type seeds. Can you see? They almost look like hair. Let me get my hand in front of it. So yeah, quite messy once it starts to ooze all that stuff. And then what I did was I kept like the sticks of it, and I just cut it down to fit inside of this jar. But right there is the brown part that most everybody knows kind of looks like a corn dog. It does totally look like a corn dog, burnt corn dog. And so yeah, I mean, it really freaked me out. If you go to harvest one of these, or you go to forage one, it's probably the funnest, most mysterious foraging if you just watch it. And if you guys have time-lapse photography, that would be really cool to catch on a time-lapse. But they just float around everywhere, and it's so cool that, like, the nature of it, the cattail knew that it had been pulled from the earth, so it at that point exploded to put its seeds, which, God, there's gotta be thousands and thousands and thousands in there, all over the earth. So do you guys know the one thing that this is good for? But let's first guess the gender, the planet, and the element, okay? The folk names are Tabua and Ibhuma and Balangot. Now let's guess the gender, the planet, and the element. Yeah, we are meeting up and having one giant party on my birthday. No, it would be cool. And that's why I want to do retreats once I get to Texas. I love my Danes. Okay, so Madam Butterfly guesses that it's female. Cherry Chapstick guesses water. Heather Foley guesses male Neptune water. Okay, so yes, it looks phallic. It is male. It's not like the female phallic banana, right? But yes, it looks phallic. It is male. The planet is Mars and the element is fire. It only has one power, and that one power you guys got right is lust. Every time I say gender, Uncle Badger keeps thinking about my transgender. That's fun. Okay, so the element is, the power is lust. Magical uses. If a woman doesn't enjoy sex but wishes to, she should carry some cattail with her at all times. So if that was your issue, like honestly, if you did not enjoy sex but you're married or you want to continue having sex or it creates closeness with your partner but you truly just do not enjoy it, we would make an amulet full of these cattail seeds. And I would use a bit of all of it. I would use a bit of the actual stem. I would use a bit of the corn dog, and I would use a lot of those seeds. Those seeds are just so potent and abundant. There's so many of them. So, yeah, an amulet. Yeah, and I love my Danes. I think that most women could use this from time to time. But if that's something you really want to heighten in your life and really start enjoying sex, you would want to wear that amulet all the time. Maybe you could make it into a bracelet, you know? Maybe weave some into a bracelet, or tie the cattail when it's fresh into a bracelet. You know, something like that. I keep my bracelets on all the time, and if I'm not doing art, I keep my rings on all the time. But anyway, Ash Storm Heathen's here? What? That's fantastic and amazing. I don't see her. Where is she? Thomas said hi to her. I don't see her. Okay, so we're done with cattail. So, hey Rhythm Spirit, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you. Okay, so now it's time. Whoever types what they want next gets it. And we're name an herb, and we'll look up some herbs in here. Now's the time. Okay, go ahead. Type what herb you want. Ginger. Okay, Ikale, we got it. We're doing ginger. If you guys want to guess an herb for the next time, you just got to be right there at the moment. So we're going to go with ginger. We're going to read about that from all three books because it's an edible. I know it comes up in the encyclopedia, and I'm sure it comes up in here. So let's go ahead and look up ginger. Let's first look up ginger in our Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. Ooh, Rhythm Spirit wants to know what's good for money. Let's do ginger, but let's quickly say money herbs, okay? And that won't take long. So in this book, Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs by Scott Cunningham, starting on page 276, is the magical intentions. Read through them until you find the magical intentions of money. And right here, he has money, riches, treasures, and wishes to obtain, okay? Here are the money herbs. Alfalfa, allspice, almond, basil, bergamot, orange, blackberry, not orange, orange bergamot, blackberry, bladderwrack, blue flag, bryony, bromelaid, buckwheat, calamus, camellia, cashew, cedar, chamomile, cinnamon, conifoil, clove, clover, comfrey, cowslip, dill, dock, elder, fungreek, fern, flax, fumitory, gangle, ginger, goldenrod, golden seal, gorse, grains of paradise, grape, heliotrope, high John the Conqueror, honesty, honeysuckle, horse chestnut. These are money herbs, you guys. All of them. Irish moss, jasmine, lucky hand, mandrake, maple, marjoram, mayapple, mint, moonwort, moss, myrtle, nutmeg, oak, oats, onion, orange, Oregon grape, patchouli, pea, pecan, periwinkle. We're reading money herbs right now, guys. Pine, pineapple, pipasquia, pomegranate, poplar, poppy, rattlesnake root, rice, snapdragon, sassafras, sesame, snake root black, squill, tea, tonka, trillium, vervain, vetiver, wheat, and woodruff. Those are all the money herbs. So again, when I go to make my money oil, which anybody can purchase from me on Etsy, I make one just for that. When I go to make my money oil, I open that book, I go through my herb cupboard, I figure out which ones I have, and then I creatively, in whatever way I think to creatively do it, I put a $5 bill in here, I've taped it to the inside, I filled it up with money herbs, then filled it up with oil. I kept it in the moonlight. I blessed it in the full moon light, and I kept it in my window for a month so that the sun and the moon hit it every day. I put a citrine stone on it, which is good for money, and I used this raccoon penis bone, baculum I think is how it's pronounced, and I used that to anoint the oil onto my candle, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. This book is really all you need for the confidence to make anything. A money incense, a money oil, a money amulet or talisman, things to put inside of your wallet. Old lore is in here. I mean, you know, and then do some of your own stuff that you make up. But put a green candle on the top and say and make a petition or an incantation the way that you want to do it. I just think that all of these things that we do that are so unique and individual to us, it's really something great. So we're going to get on to ginger, but I just wanted to say that I keep that over here at my money altar with my bank dirt, and I have my own. Lately I've done something new to the money altar. I put some of my hair, I buried it back there in the bank dirt. You know, it's got some Queen Elizabeth stuff, her teacup, her coronation cup. I put bank dirt inside of it. And then I put my hair growing out of the bank dirt. And it's just some stuff, and that's all in a frog bowl, you know. Just some stuff that I kind of do on my own. But yeah, all my confidence for doing workings really comes from this, unless I'm just doing pure intuitive choosing, which is something on its own. So we're going to talk about ginger. So Tangerine says her mom was heavily into herbs and spices and their magical and medicinal components, and you forgot it all. And I think it's just cool when in our childhood we have somebody that gets us into that sort of thing, whether it be our mom and she forces it on us. Not saying yours did, Tangerine, but we know how hippie moms can be. I am one. And it just having somebody in our life that influenced it in a way, and then we kind of forgot about it forever. This book was on a house that I lived in's cupboard, in my brother's house in my early 20s, and I never picked it up and read it. But I always thought it was interesting. I'm like, I wonder what that is. So these, it's just funny, you know, these books have been around me all my life, and I just started reading them. It's just so cool. But I've been to Herbalism since forever. Hey, Raven Sand Moon, how are you? Nice to see you. So we're going to go to ginger root. Let's do it. Ginger. And just the other day we talked about ginseng, and I did a very special working in the full moon on that ginseng root, and now I'm going to dry it out for a twin flame working. So ginger, huh? Ginger. Ginger spice, ginger on the island. What other gingers do we know in our lives? Any of us out there named Ginger? Such a cool name. Somebody called me Ginger Spice yesterday because my hair was the same and I had those funny UK socks on. That was fun. Okay, so ginger tends to look like this, which is pretty bamboo-like. And again, when we use ginger, most of the time what we're eating and talking about is the root. Okay? So, let's see. Let's guess the gender, the planet, and the element of ginger. Folk name is African ginger, but let's guess the planet, the gender, and the element. Okay? And if you... Hey, there is Storm Heathen. I knew you'd be here. I'm going to make you a mod, hun. We've been having trouble with Under the Bridge lurkers, so I appreciate it. Your quirky auntie has a house full of plants and animals. You were so fun to visit her. I remember seeing her bathtub full of plants. Totally, my mom's like that. Just kept wondering how she got clean. I totally hear that, Ash the Storm Witch. Totally. Yeah. How do these people get clean? Your mom too, Tangerine? You should make a cooking video, B. I want to see it. Can you upload it? So that we could all see it? Or at least send it to me on Skype. I got a private video from Rose Scotty the other day. It was kind of everything to me. Thank you again, Tangerine. And I love the video you did, Tangerine, that you edited where you were interviewing Roman Biscotti. I haven't watched it fully yet, and I know it wasn't long, but I've just been like, ah! But I can't wait to see that one. Okay, you should do a video talking about your wacky mom. I would love to hear about that. Okay, do we have any guesses on the ginger, you guys? Do you guys think it's masculine or feminine? What do you think the planet is, and what do you think the element is of ginger root? Yay! I'm so glad you guys are hugging each other's channels and ringing those bells. Rhythm Spirit guesses masculine. It is, in fact, masculine. Very good job. What planet and element are we looking at, y'all? Good job, Wiley Kylie. And Willow Witch we all got masculine. Heather got masculine. And then we're saying, Jupiter. It's Mars and fire, you guys. And fire makes sense because a lot of the root vegetables are fire, and I always think they're going down to the fires of hell, to the brimstone. I have weird ways of remembering things, but if root vegetables are a lot of the times fire, I always kind of guess fire because the roots are growing down toward the fire of the core of the earth, right? And the planet is Mars. Okay, that's a red planet, so it kind of looks like fire. The powers are love, money, success, and power. Okay, love, money, success, and power. You want more Jupiter? I know, right? I think in the back of this we have Jupiter planetary herbs. Let's see if that's true real quick. Yeah, Jupiter herbs are in here. I'll read those next. Won't take long. Okay, so back to ginger. Eating ginger before performing spells will lend them power since you have been heated up by the ginger. You guys, that's great information because how many of us have pickled sushi ginger in the fridge? In my house, we always have pickled sushi ginger in the fridge. It's one of my daughter's favorite things to eat. It's great medicinally. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. It's great medicinally if you have an upset stomach, whether it's in the candy form, like candied ginger, or pickled ginger, like you get with your sushi. But yeah, I mean, how many of us just have that in the fridge? A lot, and I just don't think we really think of it. For fresh ginger, can you dry it? I've been drying mine for forever. Yeah, it just gets a lot smaller, and I use that in workings, sometimes as little poppets. Like if you get a big old knob of ginger and the one that's in the shape of a person, because you know how ginger can look like lots of things. Get one that's kind of in the shape of a person, put it in your dehydrator, or buy one from me and I can dehydrate a poppet for you. Yeah, so this is especially true for love spells. So eating it before the working to heat you up. This is especially true for love spells in which ginger is much used. Whole ginger roots are planted and grown to attract money, or the powdered root is sprinkled into pockets or onto money for this purpose. It would be good to put into a money mojo bag. Ginger hands, ginger hands. Whole ginger roots are planted and grown to attract money. Ginger is also used in success spells or to ensure the success of a magical operation. In the Pacific, the Dobu Islanders make much use of ginger in their magic. They chew it and spit it at the seat of an illness or to curse it, and also spit chewed ginger at an oncoming storm while at sea to halt it. So if you were at sea and there was a storm coming, you could chew some ginger up and spit it at the seat of the storm to stop it. So now we're going to go ahead and look up ginger in this book, Magical Herbalism by Scott Cunningham. Yeah, I have the dehydrator, guys. If you guys need anything dehydrated, you just let me know. Make up an Etsy order for you. Ginger. The movie star. Professor and Marianne here on Gilligan's Island. Ginger 110. A movie star. Ginger, a tropical aphrodisiac, induces passion. That's all we get in this whole book about ginger, but it is there. On page 110. A tropical aphrodisiac induces passion. Yeah, absolutely, Willow Witch. Sure. Yep, you have my post office box. P.O. Box 383, Seebeck, Washington, 98380. Gen Z, as in zebra. Okay, ginger. Let's look it up in here. This is all about when we eat it. And again, I know that you guys have heard this 3 trillion times, but this is when we use it in workings. This is the magic of when we eat it. It's different. It is, it is. Okay, so ginger. Ginger will be coming up on page, holy potatoes, so many pages. 35 through 36. Oh, I do believe I've done a video on ginger. Maybe not. I think so. 77, 90, 92, 98, 102, 127, 139 through 140, 223, 225, 228, 244, 294, 299 through 300, 309, well, 302, 309, 323, 325, 327, 330, and last but not least, 343. Okay, ginger comes up 100 times in this book. But I'll have to say that I know that most of them are just going to be, it'll pop up on a table where it'll say, it comes up in Mercury, or comes up as a feminine, or it comes up as a whatever. So we will go through and check on these pages, but just to say it might become redundant information. So. Okay, here we go. Let's start looking up ginger. 35 and 36. We're talking about festival foods. And we're talking about the festival of Yule. And ginger will come up here. I just have to find it. Gingerbread, there it is. Gingerbread is the modern version of ancient cakes made of grain and honey, which are offered as sacrifices to the goddess and the gods at Yule. These cakes are also buried with the dead to ensure the passage of their souls into the other world. When ginger was introduced into Europe from Asia, it was soon incorporated with the ritual Yule cake. This was the origin of gingerbread. Though ginger was once more expensive than diamonds, this spice is now easily within reach of all of us. You may wish to create gingerbread house at Yule. If so, make it in the image of your own home. If this isn't possible, visualize your home while mixing, baking, forming, and decorating the house. See your household fulfilled with warmth, love, and happiness. All gifts of ginger and the sun. Eat the house on Yule, sharing it with others who live under your roof, and invite its loving energies into yourself. Okay, so that gave us some really cool, interesting information on gingerbread. So let's go to page 77, where we are reading about the bean. And why are we going to talk? Oh, magical uses of the bean. Add beans to diets designed to increase wealth. If you make your own baked beans, add a touch of ginger, maple syrup, and other money-attracting foods during their preparation. Visualize as you mix and cook. That's really good news to know, that we can spice up our baked beans with ginger. I know a lot of us that like foods from the UK love, beans, beans on toast. Beans for breakfast, right? Heinz beans. Okay, now we're going on to page 90, where we find it while we're talking about vegetables. And where's the word ginger? Well, I'm not able to find the word ginger on this page, so if anybody else does that has this book, you're more than welcome to put it in the comments. But yeah, not finding it on page 90. Now, it also said it's going to appear on page 92 when we're talking about pumpkin, and I guarantee you it's in this one because pumpkin and ginger is so darn good. You like clove in your baked beans too? That sounds so good. I'm going to put a clove in the next time I make some beans. That sounds really good. We were just talked about clove yesterday morning when we were doing this, and star anise the morning before, and yesterday we also talked about allspice. It's funny because it's springtime and everybody has questions about these, more wintertime vegetables. That's hilarious, Freshwater Fairy, about your son. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we are on page 92 of Wicca in the Kitchen, and we are talking about ginger. And this page is talking about pumpkin, so let's see where we find ginger. Pumpkin is also a nutritious money attractant. Make a pumpkin pie and add cinnamon, ginger, and nutmeg to flavor it with money-drawing energies. Same thing could go for yams or sweet potatoes or regular potatoes with lots of butter. I mean, do it however you want. Hi, Charlie Hannah. How are you? Welcome to the chat. Nice to see you here. We're talking about ginger root, and now we're on to page 98. Scott Cunningham's Wicca in the Kitchen, talking about ginger root, 98. And Taxidermy Witch is so smart about foods and what tastes good, because guess what page it appears on? The page of sweet potato, because I was saying pumpkin, sweet potato, any kind of real squash it would be good on. Butternut squash. Oh, clove in your butternut squash soup with like a little smear of some fresh cream on the top, or fresh sour cream. Oh, I love an immersion blended soup that I've made myself with things that I've grown in my garden. It's amazing. So sweet potato. Ginger's going to appear up on here. Where is it at? So when talking about the sweet potato and its magical uses, it says cook and eat sweet potatoes to expand your ability to receive as well as to give love. Flavor with cinnamon, ginger, and a dash of honey or sugar to further empower them with loving energies. I love to flavor my sweet potatoes with maple syrup. I like to use maple syrup as my sweetener in those. And fresh orange juice. Okay, if you guys have ever had the Whole Food sweet potatoes, they're like orange yams. You get the garnet yams, you like boil them, mash them down, okay? Then you add fresh, this is my recipe, then you add fresh orange juice that you like squeezed off of the thing, right? Fresh orange juice, butter, cinnamon, cloves, allspice like a little bit. Whip that together is so knock your socks off good. To add that orange juice and like the clove or the cinnamon or the ginger in there. Ginger. They're called ginger yams at Whole Foods. They're so, so good. So let's see. The next page we're going to find this on is page 102. So let's go to page 102. Okay, and so on page 102, it's talking about apple. And so we're going to talk about apples and ginger here. Magical uses for the apple. Love, for love. Simply eat a fresh apple. Carve a heart into the skin before devouring it. Drink apple cider. Bake an apple pie flavored with cinnamon, ginger, and sugar. Share an apple with a lover. So since ginger we're going to find out, is also great for love, we're adding it into these love diets. Are we okay in the chat here? I saw somebody took away a comment. Hello and welcome to Lena. Lena, welcome. Alright, so now we're going to be going to page 127. You guys are making each other hungry. 127. So, we're under chapter 12, Herbs and Spices. And right in the very front page, it's talking about the amazing spices were once more costly than gold. They were imported as great expense from distant lands. At great expense from distant lands. China produced cinnamon. Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, grew black pepper. The Molucca Islands were home to cloves. India and Zanzibar produced ginger. That's what we get on that page about ginger, is that India and Zanzibar produced ginger. And now we're on to page 139 through 140, which is where I believe, yes, we will get the bulk of the information about ginger itself. So here we go. Lovely ginger. It doesn't have a picture in here, but we will get to some other information. Coconut rice with some cilantro, and I like to put maple syrup on like coconut, like ricey puddings. Yum. Like sweet and savory, like a coconut rice cereal. Okay, let's guess the planet and the element of ginger. Okay, let's guess the planet and the element of ginger. Actually, guys, we're gonna have to come back and talk about ginger. I've gotta hop off the phone. That was a call I need to take. So I'll talk to you guys soon, and we'll be coming back with a continuation of ginger. Okay, guys? See you in a little bit. Bye.